Hey, welcome back to Y&R Update. Okay, as you can tell, because you checked, there's no Y&R on today. So what I'm going to do is we're going to have a little chat about characters and plot lines on Y&R. I mean, it's something I'm always interested. The characters, unfortunately, change sometimes. Sometimes it's for the better and sometimes it's for the worse. So I'm going to jump into a little chat about some of the characters that have come and gone and are still here on the Y&R. And the first one I want to start out with is the Kelly Andrews character, currently played by Katie McLean, and now it was previously played by Cynthia Watros. And one thing I have to say is, I mean, having watched All My Children, I love Katie McLean. I think she's an amazing actress. I mean, she started it when she was really, really young, and she's very, very strong. But right now, it's starting to look like she's having a tough go of it. I don't blame her. I sort of blame the writers for what she's been left with. And what she's been left with is a character that just keeps changing. The character has always been a damaged character from when Cynthia Watros played the character. But with Katie McLean, I mean, I don't even know what we're seeing. I saw the preview of the upcoming episode, and it's just taken it to a whole other level. The person that they introduced has flopped so much as a character. You can't help but blame the writers, and you can always tell when they are different writers because everybody has a different run at the character, and every time someone does, you can tell because Katie McLean's character changes. And I've noticed 3 character changes with her, and now she's just basically being passed off as a bunny boiler. And I think going that way, I mean, is sort of a waste of a character. They're kind of taking her, you know, like the Sheila character, if many of you saw, you know, from the 90s. That was an amazing character, but they're not taking her in an amazing direction. So it's sort of a waste of a character. So that being said, I'm going to jump into another character that I think is being wasted. Gregg Richert, who plays Kevin Fisher, is an amazing actor. He's also, from what I can tell, a great guy. I have had the chance to meet him, and a really sweet guy, and right now, and strong actor. I mean, God, he earned the Emmy, believe me. Very strong character, but right now he's being wasted. Right now I don't really see the chemistry with him and the Mariah character, and the last time we saw him in a romance was with Chloe, and that ended horribly. Like, I hate loose ends, and I hate when they do it to characters, and they absolutely did it to him. His character, he's a strong actor, and he's being wasted right now. I mean, the closest thing he's got to a plot line is, you know, being the quarterback to this whole, you know, who killed Summer's husband, you know, this whole mystery about Austin's death. I mean, it's the closest he's come to a storyline in a long time. So I would like to see, you know, definitely a strong storyline for him. It's a waste of a really good actor. And those of you that have watched the show for at least 10 years would probably attest to that. Having watched the show for 34 years, I can cover a lot of ground, but we don't have that much time. And I can bring you up to speed as we go further into the show. The other one I want to talk about is the Kyle Abbott character. God, which character you're talking about? Let's talk about Hartley Sawyer first. When they brought him in as Kyle Abbott, I mean, the guy had potential. He's a good-looking guy, but then they did the whole, you know, you're falling in love with someone who now you think is your sister. It became awkward, and they really just sort of waltzed the character out of town after, you know, the spying on Victor storyline, and it was just a ridiculous end to that storyline. And, you know, obviously they grew the character up really quick. I mean, the last time we saw him was a few years before, when he was, I think, 14 and coming back from boarding school and playing hockey. So I think they aged him too fast, but understandably they needed you know, a lot of characters around that age range, so I know why they aged him. But that storyline with Summer was ended ridiculously. I mean, and then they brought in Blake Hood, and I mean, Blake Hood was a capable actor, and nothing against him, but God, he was too old. I mean, you literally, and when he was making eyes at Phyllis, that was a whole other thing. You know, Blake Hood was too old, but putting him making eyes at Michelle Stafford was even weirder, and it was like this, you know, the same thing, a change in writers, or somebody caught themselves and they realized this is not going to end well. So they sort of fizzled that out, and of course it leaves the viewers again scratching their head. The next one I want to talk about is obviously Lachlan Buchanan, who is there now. I mean, the guy kind of looks like a young version of Jack. I mean, perfect look casting-wise, and he really has a lot of mystery to him. He was introduced in a mysterious way. It's really great. I hope that they don't mess it up for this guy and give him a strong storyline that really helps him stick around for a while, because we've seen enough Kyle Abbott's. Next, let's talk about, who are we going to talk about? Leslie Michelson. Wow. Yeah, that is played by Angel Conwell, and it's sad, absolutely. The whole Neil storyline was abruptly ended, and the way they introduced, she went away, got married to a guy who was a doctor. They tried to introduce him as the doctor. Don't have his name in front of me right now. Not really significant, because what they did with both those characters is waste them. I mean, they had two characters that could have contributed, even with the doctor, and same thing, you made one bad mistake after another. Bringing that guy in, you know, was a horrible idea, but it set up for the, you know, Neil sort of falling in love with Hillary storyline, but it didn't look like it was done on purpose. It looked like it was an accident. So big thumbs down on the whole Leslie Michelson character. The other thing is, I want to jump back a little bit and talk about when they brought in Darius McCrary as Malcolm Winters, and that was horrid. I mean, a lot of people were up in arms, so much that I think that casting-wise was one of the worst things I've seen in the 34 years that I've watched YNR. It's not a slight against Darius McCrary, but no one in the world wants to follow up. Honestly, tell me if you do know one person that wants to follow up Shamar Moore. I mean, the guy was the epitome of that look. I mean, he had that chiseled look, he had the smile, he had the charisma, and he did a great job as that character, and no one should have to follow that. It was sad that they couldn't hang on to him, but from a casting standpoint, not only did the two not look anything like each other, but they didn't act anything like each other, and it was really throwing a curve at fans, and it came a long time after Shamar Moore left the show, so it was almost pointless. With the duration that he was there, they really didn't tie up a lot of loose ends. In fact, I think it just angered YNR fans more than anything. So, that being said, we will jump into, what do we want to talk about next? Oh, yeah, Cameron Grimes. This is same thing for Cameron Grimes. Grew up on this soap until around the age of 14. I can't speak to why she didn't want to be on the show, but suffice to say, they killed off her character. Now, it's a really scary thing when you kill off kids. I've seen it happen. I've never been a fan of it. Never. It's the stupidest thing you can do. Send them off to boarding school. I mean, they're great at doing that. I've seen it done a ton of times. You can do a lot of things, but when you kill kid characters, it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And then when you bring them back, and you've already killed them off, and you now giving them the mysterious twin that they didn't know that they had, and Sharon didn't know she had two kids, and one was stolen away from her, and trying to wrap it up in the whole Nikki storyline, I mean, was ridiculous. It was absolutely absurd from a writing standpoint. If it was pitched in a meeting, I can't see how that went over favorably. It was atrocious. And there's sort of, every time you look at Cameron Grimes now, I mean, they've tried to segue her back into the lives of the Newmans and Sharon, but it's bumpy, and I mean, it's tough for Cameron Grimes because she's an amazing actress, as she was as a child, she is as an adult. That being said, she's here now. The best thing they can do is give her a really good storyline, and right now she's kind of like a sidecar. The whole way she was brought in with the Tyler Michelson character was a joke. It was ridiculous, and they've got to find something for her to do, and putting her with Gregg Richert doesn't really work. I mean, they can shuffle the deck and find someone for her to have a love interest with, but give her a great storyline as well. Same thing for Gregg Richert. They both can have great storylines. They just don't have any chemistry together, and that's my opinion on that one. The next thing is, we're going to look at, the ever-changing Noah Newman. And you've seen that. But the two that I can talk about right now, Robert Adamson is playing Noah Newman, and I mean, he's doing a bang-up job. He is Noah Newman in my eyes. I mean, we've seen Noah Newman grow from a boy to a teenager, and that leads me into Kevin Schmidt. capable actor, did a great job, but when he left, he should have stayed gone. And what they did is they actually tried to bring him back after using another character as Noah Newman. And what happened is we realized that as capable as an actor as Kevin Schmidt was, the character was in his 20s, and Kevin Schmidt does not have that look. I mean, he plays teen, and I've met him in person, and the camera tells you the same thing that you see in person, that he looks like a young guy. I mean, it's great for him, age-wise. I mean, he'll be able to play young for quite a while, and then play mature characters, that don't belie his age. So, great news for him, but in bringing him back was sad, and it didn't fit. And you could tell if you've watched the show for a while that it didn't fit. But Robert Adamson, great character, strong actor, can't say enough good things about him. Like I said, I'm not taking anything away from Kevin Schmidt, but there was a time and a place, and they found a good Noah Newman, and they should stick with this guy and try and keep him around.